Writing a successful fiction narrative is the dream of many authors, but structuring the plot in a way that captivates readers can be really daunting because there are several approaches to organising a story. The 3-act structure, the 4-act structure, and the 5-act structure are the most popular options, and each one offers unique advantages and disadvantages, but all three can be used to create a powerful and compelling narrative. In this episode, we're going to take a closer look. Hi, I'm Stuart Wakefield, an Author Accelerator certified book coach and writer. With 26 years in theatre, broadcast media, and coaching under my belt, I know what makes stories work, and I love to share that with other writers because the world of storytelling is like the ocean. It's deep, it's mysterious, and it's a little scary to those who don't know how to navigate it. And with so much left to luck and timing, it's my mission to give great books the best chance of getting into readers' hands. In each episode, I'll share tips and plans of action that will help you write, edit, and publish your book. If you're new to writing or consciously working to improve your craft, then this is the podcast for you. The 3-act structure is perhaps the most widely known approach to crafting fiction, and it can be used to create a compelling story in a short amount of time. The 4-act structure is a more complex version of the 3-act structure, and by taking advantage of its added complexity, a writer can create a more nuanced narrative. The 5-act structure is the most complex of the three, and can be used to create a highly detailed and intricate story. The 3-act structure. Novelists, screenwriters, and playwrights were all taught to structure our stories using the 3-act structure, a concept that has been around for centuries. This structure covers the basics, a beginning, a middle, and an end. It has proven to be an effective way to craft stories that are both engaging and memorable. Act 1. The beginning. This part of the story introduces the characters, settings, and themes that will be explored throughout the narrative. This is where the protagonist is introduced and the plot is set in motion. It's also the part of the story where readers are first introduced to the conflict that will drive the plot forward and create tension and suspense. Act 2. The middle. The middle is the part of the story where the protagonist is faced with challenges and obstacles that he or she must overcome. It's in this part of the story where the plot thickens, tension and suspense increases, and the characters must face difficult choices that will ultimately shape the outcome of the story. Act 3. The end. This is the final act of the story, and it's where the protagonist succeeds or fails in overcoming the challenges and obstacles from the middle. This is the part of the story where the plot is resolved and, the story ends. The origins of the 3-act structure can be traced back to the ancient Greeks and their belief in the power of storytelling. For example, the ancient Greek playwright Aeschylus divided his plays into 3 distinct sections, which was a break from the traditional 5-act structure we'll talk about later. But this same structure was adopted by the great Roman dramatists and has been used by storytellers ever since. The 3-act structure is an effective way to structure stories because it creates a natural and satisfying arc that readers can follow. It separates the story into distinct parts, allowing the author to explore each part and keep the reader engaged. The 3-act structure is also popular because, it's easy to understand and apply. The 4-act structure. For some novelists, the 4-act structure has become the norm, offering an alternative to the traditional 3-act structure used in the past. But what is the 4-act structure? Where did it come from? And what advantages does it have over the 3-act structure? The 4-act structure, also known as the Hollywood model of story structure, is a format for structuring stories that originated in, you guessed it, the film industry. The 4 acts are setup, confrontation, climax, and resolution. Act 1. The setup. This act is identical to that of the 3-act structure. The setup establishes the story's world, depicting the day-to-day life of the story's main character. But an inciting incident should also occur, one that pulls the protagonist out of their normal world and into the main action of the story. Act 2. The confrontation. This act contains the rising action and complications that get in the way of the main character accomplishing their goal. This act culminates in a midpoint, in which the stakes are raised and the reader can only begin to imagine the potential drama that's about to unfold. Act 3. The climax. In this act, we begin with the crisis, and the main character attempts to solve the problem or reach their objective. But they must fail, all hope seeming lost. In reality, it's only a temporary defeat. Act 4. The resolution. Act 4 kicks off with a new plan. The characters dig deep and find a new way to overcome the challenges, culminating in a final battle when they're equipped with renewed determination. The character either wins or loses, and the plot winds down, addressing any loose ends. By breaking the second act of the 3-act structure into 2, the 4-act structure enables a clearer pacing of the story. It helps keep the story from feeling rushed or dragged out. The 5-act structure. When you're writing a novel and want to keep your narrative pacing even, compelling, and understandable, the 5-act structure is your best friend. The 5-act structure has been used since ancient Greece. It's based on Aristotle's Poetics, and it remains one of the most popular and effective structure templates for writing any narrative. The 5-act structure is an organized way of telling a well-rounded, pacey story. The 5 acts are, listen, it's about 11 o'clock, I'm getting over COVID, and Act 1 is exposition, and I cannot begin to tell you how many times I've said exhibition. Anyway, let's give it a go. Act 1 is exposition. Act 2 is rising action. I can't concentrate. Okay, take 3. The acts are exposition, yes, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution. Act 1, exposition. This first act introduces the main characters and provides backstory. The first act also presents the central conflict through an inciting incident. Act 2, rising action. In the second act, the conflict increases as the characters try to achieve their goals and the narrative builds towards the climax. Act 3, climax. The third act contains the climax, the moment where the tension reaches its peak, and it's here, at the story's midpoint, where things really begin to change. Now, some writers delay the climax until later in the story, usually Act 4, or instead opt for a 3-act structure. Act 4, falling action. Act 4 includes the series of events that leads to the resolution. And it's here where the reader really needs to feel true suspense, a moment of doubt about how the story will unfold. Act 5, resolution. The end, the resolution, the denouement of the story. Here, loose ends are tied up and the narrative brought to a close, with either a tragic or happy ending. You know, Shakespeare used the 5-act structure, so you're in good company. The 5-act structure is considered to be more comprehensive and well-rounded than the 3 and 4-act structures. And my first screenwriting project that I did for my MA used the 5-act structure, and I'll be honest with you, I've never looked back. So for me, it allowed for more dynamic storytelling. There was more time to develop plot points and characters. It allowed for more complexity and depth, because I was able to include sort of more plot twists and subpoints. It gave me those prompts, those places to do that, and it made for a more engaging and interesting story. Before I wrap up, I invite you to do all the usual stuff like, review, share and subscribe. But better than all of that, come and visit me at thebookcoach.co. Sign up for my free self-editing guide and take a look at the services I provide, but there's tons of free useful stuff on my blog too. So in conclusion, the 3-act structure is a widely accepted and popular way of structuring stories. It has been used by storytellers for centuries and has proven to be an effective way to create engaging and memorable stories. The structure allows for the exploration of themes in a meaningful way and provides a natural, satisfying arc that readers can follow. As such, it's no surprise that the 3-act structure has stood the test of time and remains a popular choice for both novelists and screenwriters. The 4-act structure is the perfect structure for novelists looking for a more complex story structure than the traditional 3-act structure and helps keep the pacing of their story in check and avoids rushing or dragging out the story. Whether you're a novice or an experienced writer, the 4-act structure is a great way to go. The 5-act structure is a popular way of writing a narrative and is used in film, literature, and drama. It's more comprehensive than the 3 and 4-act structures as it allows for more dynamic storytelling and complexity. It allows for more time to explore the characters, plot twists, and subplots, making for a more engaging and interesting story. If you're looking for a structure for your novel, the 5-act structure is a great choice. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day, and well done for investing some time in your own writing life. And yes, this podcast is about writing, but I'm here for you, not just your story.